Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Extra Time, the U.S. Men's National Team Soccer Podcast. As you can tell, things are looking a little bit different in here. So this episode, we're going to be giving you guys a channel update. We're going to be talking to you about the USA-Mexico recap. We're going to be talking about things that the men can do to prepare for the future and what steps the men have to take to get ready for the World Cup, including the number of games that Pochettino has left at the helm. It's going to feel like it's really short. It's going to fly by quickly. So what he can do in that time frame to get us ready. And then we're going to take a little bit of a look at what the potential Nations League roster could look like. But it's mainly going to be me giving my takes on which players I would really like to see excluded, because in my opinion, they're not going to live up to the hype. And I just really don't think that we should deal with that. So all of that is coming up on this episode as we head in to Extra Time. As you guys can see, things are looking a little bit differently here. We finally got the wall completed and the logo up. I got some of the jerseys. There's going to be more places for some of the stuff that I have that's come in. A lot of the memorabilia that I've purchased and acquired at antique stores that I want to share with everybody. So just really enjoying the new house that my wife and I have. Really just trying to focus more on the things that I want to get done and the passions that I have for this. And so that brings me to a channel update. I've kind of been all over the place. We've obviously had a lot of transitions. I began this podcast with my friend Chris. My brother Ryan joined me. Chris was unable to continue because he has to balance out his family life, and he's got to prioritize. He has passions for writing a book and writing a novel, and we both want him to be able to get that taken care of. And so obviously he has to prioritize that in the limited amount of time that he has. My brother, he's got a lot of stuff going on too, busy taking care of his house and his wife, and just getting settled into his new job. And, priorities for everybody kind of differing. Everybody wants to be a part of this podcast. They might still pop in when they get the opportunity, but I had to make the decision on what are we going to do going forward. And for a little while, I was kind of all over the place. I got away from the reason that I started doing this podcast. And so I wanted to give everybody a new understanding of what this channel is going to look like and create a new initial heading video for everyone when they go to watch the channel, because the old one is years old. It's pretty dated. I don't live where I did, and it doesn't look like this. So if you're tuning into this podcast, here's what you can expect to get. I've been a diehard fan of the U.S. men's national team since I could walk. I've been following the games ever since I can remember, going back to the 1994 World Cup, and I have some of that memorabilia here. Do I remember a lot of the 94 World Cup? No, because I was 5 years old. But I remember going to houses. I remember my dad watching the games. I remember growing up and local college coaches going to their houses and watching the games. The handball that should have got called against Germany, the United States. I remember all of these players. And one of the things that stayed consistent with me throughout that entire time frame was I always felt like U.S. soccer was done a disservice by our media. And I'm not even talking the mainstream media. ESPN covered it. Fox Sports covered it. These news networks covered the sport that we love, that I loved. And it wasn't done the justice that I thought it was supposed to be done. Lots of people, I tell my friends, lots of people have their teams, right? I was actually just at work the other day and somebody said, "Do you have a podcast? What's it going to be on?" And they just guessed a bunch of topics because those were all topics I was passionate about. They couldn't believe that my podcast was about U.S. men's soccer, right? Not anything else that I do, U.S. men's soccer. I know friends who are Ohio State fans. I know friends who are Yankees fans, Red Sox fans, Dodgers fans. You're a Lions fan. You're a Penguins fan. Rangers. Every other sport, right? You're a Knicks fan. You're a Bulls fan. I watch those sports. Not a fan of any of those teams. This is the team that I'm a fan of. This is my passion. And it drives me crazy to watch U.S. soccer not get the reputation that I feel like it deserves, especially in the day and age that we're in now, where I feel like we have the most capable and best set of players that the United States has ever had, without question. And I've gotten a lot of flack in my comments for saying some of those things, including individuals who said I clearly don't even know the game of soccer, which they referred to as ball at the time, just based on some of the comments that I've made. I'm here to be controversial. I'm here to say the things that are going to get people irritated, not in the manner that Alexi Lalas does it, not in the manner that I can't even think of his name because I just care so little. On ESPN, Herculez Gomez. I'm not here to do any of those things. I want to try to present reasonable commentary on the things that I think are going on. I'm trying not to be the person who just rips on the coach all the time. Like I want to spend more time focusing from a fan perspective on the frustrations that I feel that the influence the media has on the team. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the coach. Yes, I'm going to talk about the players. I primarily talk about the players. I want to spend a lot of time criticizing the media and the influencers around this. My biggest criticisms were when we imported Jermaine Jones and had him play, and we still had Bob Bradley and Landon Donovan, and the media's like, oh, these stars and these studs. And we had all these young players who were willing to just play their hearts out, right? And nobody wanted to say this stuff, right? The fans are saying it. Nobody, any of the commentators, the content creators at the time, nobody wanted to say it. And then all of a sudden, we failed to make the World Cup. And then you got Alexi Lalas just doing the old flip-flop and coming around and saying, oh, these guys are overpaid, tattooed millionaires. Yeah, no kidding. It's what everybody had been saying for forever, but we couldn't get people off the helm and we couldn't get people out of that. So that's what I want to do. I want to take that fan perspective, okay? And I want to be in that boat. I want to talk about the controversies. I want to talk about the things the media is saying. I want to do more, I guess they're called reactions now. But I don't want to be a reaction channel. Right? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to just like sit and play video clips and then it's going to be me and doing it. Like I'll show a little bit of a couple here and there, but I don't understand the copyright stuff and I don't want to deal with any of that. So I'm just not gonna. So if that's something that you're looking for, you should hit the subscribe button. You should hit the like button. One, because that's unfortunately how YouTube does it. So like I would not mind if you didn't subscribe and didn't like it. I don't really care. I think you should subscribe to what you want to watch and like the videos that you actually like. But that's not how YouTube works. And so in order for me to grow, I have to tell you to do this. It's sad. It's silly. But again, my goal is not to try to grow. My goal is to try to engage with people. It had been going kind of well for a little while. I also understand I have to put out consistent content. The easiest way to put out consistent content is this way. The men play 2 games every couple months. It's not great for me to only have a couple videos every couple months if I'm trying to grow the channel. So if that's what you're looking for, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I look forward to sharing all those videos with you. That being said, let's get into the USA-Mexico game. I know this game was a while ago. A lot of nonsense going around on the internet. If you're a sports betting person, I'm a sports betting person. I would have bet just about all of my money that Mexico was going to win this game. It just felt inevitable. We weren't playing A-string rosters. Pochettino clearly had this mentality, and I think anybody could have seen this, and if you couldn't, that's discouraging, but I'm pretty sure most people understood. You can be frustrated with this. Like you can be upset that we did this, but I still think that you're aware that we did. Pochettino needed to see the rest of the guys on the squad. We're missing pieces in defense. We're missing spots in the midfield. We're still looking for a solidified player up front. We are definitely looking for players should injuries happen. And that's currently the state that the men are in right now. We had Weston McKennie, who had an injury. We had Sergiño Dest, who had an injury. We had Miles Robinson, who had an injury. We had, and I'm going to blank now, Tyler Adams, who had an injury. We had a lot of players that were out hurt. Our lack of depth was very blatant. We were missing spots at center back. As soon as we lose Ream, we're going to be missing a player. Miles Robinson's out. Oh my gosh, who do we play? Joe Scally stepping up at right back. We're looking at left back, and we're trying to just like play a bunch of random dudes. They're not looking that great. Some of them are looking okay. We're trying out guys in the midfield. So it was pretty apparent that Pochettino wanted to play a new set of guys, a younger set of guys, to see how am I filling in my roster? I get to bring 25 to 27 players to the World Cup. I know who my maybe 14 of those are going to be at an absolute lock. Maybe I know 18 of those guys as an absolute lock. I still got 8 to 10 spots that I'm looking to try to fill. I need to go find the other talent. I need to go find those other players and see what can they accomplish, what can they do. The only way to do that is to go play a bunch of young guys, which means, and I'm also saying this is after the Panama game. Watching the guys that we played in the Panama game and the tactics we played, I knew for a fact, and this is before the starting lineup even came out, I would have bet that Mexico was going to win this game. I certainly was going to bet that Mexico was going to win this game afterwards, when I found out that Pulisic had gone home, okay? And that's primarily what I want to react to, is Alexi Lalas's just sort of like weird, nonsensical rage afterwards of like player load and all this other stuff. Because to me, like, it just feels silly to be somebody who's going like, oh, this is so ridiculous that these players, like, you know, the case management, and they're playing all these games and they got to go back. Like, dude, we're playing a friendly against Mexico in Mexico where we're trying to showcase younger talent and just scout the potential that we have. Pochettino is not looking to try to win this game. He just wants to see, what are the other guys that I have? What better environment to put them in than to put them into a high-stakes game in Mexico and see who's willing to work for it, right? You get a new boss at a company, they're just going to fire people, right? Like you're bringing me in as a consultant. Who are the people that are not pulling their weight that need to get cut and gone? And after the Panama game, one of the things I said and a lot of other people said was it was very apparent the players who realized their spot was probably on the line and they really stepped their game up. Like we saw a different Matt Turner in that game. We saw players really start to go, okay, whoa, hold on. New coach coming in here. Coach is going to be shaking things up. Like, I'm not about that. I'm not losing my spot. So now we need to see the same thing in Mexico. We have 2 years, and we're going to get into the games that we have left. We absolutely needed to see this. Okay? We absolutely needed to see it. So I'm going to play this, and we can like take a listen. I'm going to put these on just so I can listen along with you guys because I don't got speakers. And we'll just take a shot at it.
Players home. And in doing so, you made it very, very clear where your priority was. Now, before this game, I said that in a strange way, this is kind of smart from Pochettino and sly in what he did, because there is a built-in excuse. And we're already making some of these excuses here. And if he had won, it would have been, oh my goodness, he's incredible. He went down with his B team and was able to beat Mexico. But that he lost, okay, you know, he was missing his players. When we go through the starting lineup here, Matt Turner in goal, Miles Robinson, who was a late change for McKenzie, who was going to start but evidently got hurt in warm-ups.
I don't need to play through the rest of it. You guys could go watch the clip yourself if you guys want to watch the clips yourselves. I really don't need to sit here and play through the rest of it. You guys get where I'm coming from. Like, to sit here and say that this is an excuse, that he's got this built-in like fail-safe, like, oh, we couldn't have won because we didn't bring all the players. Like, that was never the goal. That's not the intention. We know how tough CONCACAF games get. Okay, like my brother texted me and said it's wild to me to watch CONCACAF players who are playing in the MLS get red carded and sent off for stuff that they don't even get, that it's not even a foul in CONCACAF matches. Christian, Weah, McKinney, they're finding their form. Pepe is doing well. If you're following any of the content, you're seeing this stuff. Balogun's trying to get his way back into stuff. Okay, Adams is on his way back up. Miles is on his way back up. Like, they're coming off of injury. Why would you take these guys who their club teams are hesitant to release them because they might get injured, and they're spending millions of dollars on these players? Okay, Christian Pulisic just scored an Olympico. He has more goal contributions than like every other player on Inter or AC Milan, and in the Serie A. I mean, in the Serie A might be an exaggeration, but I'm pretty sure the stat I read was at least for AC Milan. Why on earth would they want to see him playing the Mexico game. Just go look at the last couple matches with Mexico. How many times does he get fouled? How many times does he get taken? There was a red card in the last game. They just ripped his feet up from underneath him. If I'm the manager spending millions of dollars, do you think that I care that Christian Pulisic plays in a friendly against Mexico in Guadalajara for nothing? Like, it's not even bragging rights. Literally, who cares? Oh, the United States, we haven't lost to Mexico in 7 games. Okay, use your common sense. We care about the competitive matches. We have not lost a tournament match to Mexico in years. We're about to play in another tournament. The Nations League is coming. We're going to find out. And if we play with our competitive A roster and Mexico beats us, I will change my tone. We can all be up in arms and we can freak out about it. But right now, no one cares. It's half the reason why I didn't make a reaction video, because I sat here and was like, well, do I commentate on the Mexico game? Because that's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to get up and say that, like, you know, I'm not really like that worried about it. I'm disappointed that in Morris, I don't think Aiden Morris really earned any kind of a spot. That's like really not helping at all. We're turning that off. I ain't having this noise popping through here. Me sitting here getting ESPN notifications and then getting the copyright ban because my microphone heard the dial tone. So, why? Why would I want to sit there and risk any of those things with all these players coming into form? I'm going to give my younger players a chance. Okay? I thought Ricardo Pepi, given like all things considered, Ricardo Pepi is showing himself to be a player who really is going to make Balogun have to fight for his spot. Now, I honestly think, being objective, Ricardo Pepi has probably earned the starting spot. And I'm somebody who was very much against Ricardo Pepi most of the time that he was here when he was playing with Ferreira. I liked Pepi more, and I get that Pepi was younger. And, you know, I was overly critical of them, mainly from the lens of this can't possibly be the best that we have, right? Like these 18-year-old guys who are still trying to find their way and really can't hit the net and are missing open goals. We can't have that. We still struggle with this problem, right? Christian goes overseas and he just taps in all these bunnies. We see our players like Timothy Weah knocking in a ball in front of the net. It was nice to see Yunus Musa do that in the Panama game because it's what we're going to need more of, but we need to get it more on a consistent basis with the players that are playing in those positions. The ages of the players is something that I know I need to do a better job taking into consideration, because Malik Tillman hasn't been somebody who's overly impressed me, and he's not somebody that I would include on the roster, but he's also 22, and it's this double-edged sword, right? If we just exclude all these players who don't have it and we don't give them the opportunity to be on the roster and play, then they're not going to develop into those players. But on the other hand, they're playing for club teams, and we have the ability to take some of the best players for club teams. So if that's the case, then why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we looking around and going, well, I don't need to play these guys on my team because they can develop on a club team overseas somewhere, right? So Aiden Morris, I just thought was somebody who I really wasn't impressed. I just don't think he has what it takes to really compete at the level that we need him to, especially in our midfield. The way that our midfield has elevated itself, the way that our players have continued playing, I'm not saying he can't develop into being that. I'm surprised he got as much playing time as he did, because to me that signals Pochettino either believes he's going to lock the midfield down or is looking to see something in him. Like, I'm giving you this extra playing time because I think you have something to show me, and I want you to get that confidence up. I want you to relax and breathe, and I want things to kind of dictate through you. In the other hand, in the midfield, we had Buzio playing alongside Yunus Musa, and I thought Buzio did show himself to be that player. Yes, we had turnovers. Yes, we had some sloppy touches. We also had some really beautiful balls and some really brilliant opportunities. He's a player that if he's able to clean things up, he has shown that what his ceiling can be. And I think that's the thing that we're missing. When I'm looking at these players and I'm making these evaluations, I see the potential, right? When I'm watching Aiden Morris, they didn't show me. It's not like Aiden Morris had a couple moments of brilliance and you're sitting there thinking, man, if he can just refine those mistakes we get his good to great performances, that guy's going to be a stud. I'm not seeing that. But with Gianluca Buzio, you're seeing some of the downsides and some of these poor moments, but his upside's phenomenal. And you just think to yourself, like, if he can develop to be that player, he's going to be a starter for sure. Malik Tillman, he has better upsides. He's got like some moments. I wouldn't call them brilliant, but he has moments that are good. The same thing with Brendan Aronson. Brendan Aronson, I thought, was this player who's just going to like roll onto the scene and just be a monster. We saw energy, chasing balls down, run all over the place. He starts with Leeds. Leeds gets that win against Chelsea. And from there, it was just like, that was it. Like, it was like that Dr. Pepper hype train commercial. Like, the train came crashing to a stop. And the conductor was like, everybody off. He just never learned how to control that energy. If Pochettino can get him to not just run around like a chicken with his head cut off, he's going to be a great player, because he has in the games that we had with the chances that he was able to deliver through that central midfield spot. That's what I was hoping he would be able to accomplish. So he's got a little bit more upside, but again, we still have a lot of stuff that we have to clean up. Anthony Robinson like impressed me a little bit more, but again, like I'm going to repeat what I said. If you're given that many opportunities, you have to do something with it, right? You absolutely have to be able to do something with it. So there are a lot of issues that we're going to have to deal with, obviously. Like, there are a lot of things going on that are, I guess, cause for concern with our players. The Mexico game really highlighted that when it comes to like the B to C tier team, like when we play an A to B tier team, you're still kind of concerned with our B players, but the A players can kind of shoulder it, which is a positive thing, because before, like, you'd put 5 B players on the field or 4 B players on the field in the United States, looked like a C team and we tanked. Now we still kind of look like an A team, like the A players can carry enough weight. When we go to like the B to C now, no. Like, you're just really not seeing that at all, and that gets really frustrating, because it's one of the things that you want to be able to see. You want to be able to see the players on the field be able to pick up the slack for the other guys, because it allows the other players to play themselves into the game, right? When you're going, okay, so we're going to play in the central midfield, and we're just going to have, let's say, Adams. Like, Adams is going to be our only midfield player, and we're going to play 2 young guys around him. If Adams is unable to possess the ball and stabilize the ball in the midfield and get his other teammates into the game, then you're on your back foot the whole game. They never find their way into the game. Their confidence goes down and they're panicked, right? My high school coach would, like, and a couple of college coaches would always say, when you sub a guy in, you hit the ball to them. Like the first thing that you do is you hit him the ball. And my high school coach would say, everybody on the field should touch the ball before we try to do anything, right? Now, then we would go to games and he would say, just hit it to the corner flag. But that's really neither here nor there when you were having more conversations with them. And there's a reason for that. You want to get your guys into the game so that they have a feel for the game, right? It's why it's so difficult to play against teams like Spain, and why these teams have to play on the counterattack, and how dangerous and difficult it is to play on the counterattack, because you're relying on very high quality, very talented players who don't need to be in the game to make something of the game, right? The game doesn't need to come to them. They can go to the game. We have a lot of players on our team where they struggle going to the game. They need the game to come to them. And we've benefited from high quality A players who have been able to dictate the game. They've been able to move the ball around. We've struggled to finish in the final third. I think our creativity is a little bit better. It didn't look great against Mexico, but it's improved a little bit. But again, those are the things that we're going to have to be able to figure out. So as we go forward, one of the things that you might have heard people talk about is this match window that FIFA has. Okay, so what's up here right now, this is the international match window and the number of matches that all international teams have based on FIFA's match calendar. Okay? And if you didn't know that was a thing, that's okay. I didn't know that was a thing until recently. I just kind of assumed that it was obviously a thing, but I didn't realize like FIFA has an official match calendar. So let's take a look at this match calendar and see what it's telling us. We are coming up on this window in November. And I bring all this up because the future for Pochettino has a number of possibilities. The most obvious one is he coaches us up until and through the World Cup. and no matter what happens in the World Cup, he's done. Right? Like, he's kind of got the shovel. He's going to dig us out of this pit that we're in, and then he's going to go on his way. The other possibilities are that he gets us to the World Cup, and depending on how the World Cup goes, we at least make him an offer to stay with us, and he sticks around. And then the final possibility being, basically no matter what happens during the World Cup, unless we like just completely implode, we keep him, and we hope that in the 6 years, and going to the 2030 World Cup, that he is our guy. So if we go down that first route and we assume like this is it, this is all you have, okay, you're going to be the coach just up until the World Cup. We have the Nations League games that are going to get played in November. Okay, so we're going to have our Nations League matches. Those are 2. We are not going to see the U.S. men play again until March. Okay? After March, nothing again until June. Okay? So by the time the summer rolls around, and there's only 1 year to go for the World Cup, Pochettino was only going to have coached 6 more games. Think about how wild that is. This isn't like we hired this head coach and we're going to be able to go, well, we hired this guy and he was in here in September and it's just July. Like, it's almost been a year. Like, what has this guy done? He's going to have 8 games in that time frame, right? Technically, 8, maybe 12, right? He'll probably have had 12 before it's been a full year. Okay, so it's like a game a month, and he gets these players for a week or so during each of these time frames. Some of them might get injured, some of them might be hurt, some might not get released from their clubs, like some of it's friendly, some of it's all on top of the fact that we don't have to qualify. So as we're preparing for the future and looking at this, like those friendlies are going to be so critical and so crucial to us. It's why I didn't care so much about the Mexico and the Panama ones. Pochettino's getting his footing. I'm not worried about any of these. Okay? This is obviously being pressed on by the fact that there's not a lot of games left, but these 2 June friendlies, these 2 September friendlies, these October friendlies, this window right here, these 6 games next fall, 1 year from now, those are going to be the 6 most important games we play. Because we're going to play those 6 games. After those 6 games, the World Cup draw is going to happen. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's going to get their brackets and their groupings. Okay? We're going to play March games. And maybe, after those March games, we'll be revealing the roster. But the U.S. roster could have already come out. We could already have finalized decisions by the time the World Cup is going to come out. Now, typically, that's not true. Like, we're not going to make that announcement. We probably won't see that announcement until after these June games, right? Well, that's technically not true. We will most likely see the rosters before those 2 June games. So we will play the March games. After the March games, some point the roster will get revealed, and then we'll go into our 2 prep games with the actual roster. That's actually how that's going to unpackage. So this 6-game window, that's huge. Because in those 6 games, you're going to make most of your decisions. And we see this in most of the World Cups. The head coaches have almost all of the players that they want, and they're using that final window in the spring, those last 2 games, to go, okay, I went from a pool of 40 guys down to a pool of 30 guys, and I've solidified 22 of them. Who are my final 4 spots, right? So 4 guys I get to keep and 4 guys that have to go home. And who is that going to be? And you're going to see them showcase in those matches, and a lot of things get revealed. Because if some of those players don't step on the field and there's not a lot of substitutions, then you know what's going on. And you know you're not going to see these guys. So as we're watching these games happen, right, we know that these 2 games are going to be kind of competitive. We're going to have to see who we get, right? Some of the dates and venues have been announced. We're going to have to see who we match up against. I'm hoping that we play high-level talent. Okay, in previous videos that I've done, I broke down the coaches and their record against top 25 teams that are ranked in the country, even like in the world, like even like top 15 and top 10 teams. The United States has like basically like a 0% record. Like, outside of England, who we draw, like, we don't do well. I think it was like, I mean, like, you could go look at the numbers. We're not talking more than like 15 wins, maybe. And a lot of those were friendlies. And in competitive play, I mean, hardly any, right? We're the team that, like, we give America a thrill in the group stage, and then all of a sudden, okay, we made it out of the group stage. Now we got to see what we can do. And it's almost like every American kind of sits there and they know what's about to happen. They're just really, like, hoping it's not gonna, excuse me. And they try to, like, will it into existence. Like, maybe if we just believe hard enough, right? That's why it's our chant. I believe that we will win. Maybe if we just believe hard enough, this won't happen, and the United States will actually get there. This is a weird time for a coach. Okay? They don't get to spend every day at training camp with them. They're not getting to know these players on a daily basis. These players left. They're back with their clubs. They played over the weekend. Pochettino and his team are watching tape. They're traveling around. They're attending to their life. They're dealing with federation matters. They're looking at scouting reports. They're going to matches. They're working again with the Confederation. They're trying to navigate venues and deal with all that stuff and doing press stuff and media. And then their charity thing. Like, they're doing all that. They're not getting to spend every day with. So when these players come in, they're creating that atmosphere of, it's game time, it's go time. We got to get this done. And you better come in here ready to give it your all. So releasing those players and letting them go back to what they have to do, that's fine. Like, is there any doubt in anybody's mind that Christian Pulisic is not going to be on our 2026 World Cup roster? No. So you don't need to see him play unless you're looking at, like, chemistry stuff. You probably want him in camp because you need him playing alongside the players that are going to be with there, and you should probably have him play in some of the matches because, again, chemistry, you need some of these guys to get used to playing together because this is their only chance to do it. But outside of that, like, spend the time on the players that you don't think are going to get a chance to play. Okay, so if you haven't seen this match window is going to be kind of wild. The Gold Cup, this CONCACAF Gold Cup, it's going to depend on how we do. Like, we screw that up, that's a whole match you're going to miss. Right? So we could be down 1 or 2 games just in that, right? You screw up this Nations League thing, there's another game that you could be out, right? Like there's a big way to screw this stuff up. Now, I think these are just qualifying games, so, like, the game you're going to lose is going to be way later on down the road, and you're going to have to get stuck playing non-competitive friendlies, but that's not the end of the world. Wow, I'm really shaking that camera. I apologize for that. That's not really, like a huge deal. It's not really that big of a deal. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. As far as the rosters, I mean, I gave a lot of my take on that already with some of the players. Like, I really don't want to see, oh my gosh, but I just completely blank on this kid's name. I mean, I literally just sat here and, like, trashed this dude. Aiden Morris. I just don't think we need to see him. I would like to see Brandon Vasquez. Alejandro Zendejas, I don't know, not really feeling at me. I know guys I definitely don't want to see that I heard a couple other people talking about. I do not want to see Cameron Carter-Vickers. There's literally no reason. There's just none. Like, you could just continue to list off arguments and I'd just fall asleep. Like, no. He's not somebody that we need to have on our team. I don't care how. Like here, where's Chris Richards? That's somebody that we should be bringing in. Right? Unless he's injured. Again, it's been crazy. I've been working on all this stuff, so I apologize if Chris Richards got injured and I just, like, didn't know this. You can yell at me in the comments and say, dude, why are you doing a podcast and you're not keeping it up on any of these players? I don't think Zach Steffen needs to come with us. I mean, he traveled, he saw stuff. I'm hoping it was Pochettino going, like, I want to see it from my own eyes, and he has. I think continuing to bring in the young goalies is where we're going to have to be at. If you think Matt Turner's your guy, then you continue to bring him. You bring Ethan Horvath because you think he's the next up, and then pick another young dude. Don't pick Sean Johnson. Don't pick Zach Steffen. Let those guys go. You don't need him anymore, right? You might not even need Matt Turner at the rate that he's progressing, right? We really need to start to see some kind of, like, we really need to pick it up here. all those other guys, like, I'm not a huge fan of Mark McKenzie, but I get it. You need another center back. Like, you can bring him in. Austin Trusty, I guess it would be fine to see more out of him. I would bring Gianluca Buzio. You could bring Tillman, even though I'm not, like, super thrilled. But, like, I'm all of a sudden back in the spot of going, like, wow, our roster feels, like, super thin again. Obviously, I know we're not bringing De La Torre. I know that we still don't have Adams in here. I know that McKinney wasn't part of this match. So, like, I know we have a lot of other guys, but those are just my 2 cents on the players that I think we really need to just say, like, no thanks. Like, we really don't need to see this. This doesn't have to be in here. Josh Sargent is another iffy one. I know that he seems to be, like, the only other USA striker that we have. It just feels bad to go, this is the player that we're bringing and is coming with us because he's the only person that's left. I would rather see us be bringing players that we think legitimately have a chance instead of just going, well, you're the only guy left. Like, you're it. You're all we have. So here you go, bud. I think as far as, like, our wingers go, that's pretty solidified. There's not really anybody else that you're going to bring in unless you have players that you're going to try out in there, like you saw us do with Musa, right? You're really locked into Pulisic. I mean, I guess if you have up front, the player I'm forgetting is Haji Wright, but like a Brendan Aronson and a Tim Weah, those are players that you definitely could consider. The midfield, I would like to see Johnny Cardoza. I think that he was a player who really should have gotten some starting time in, like, Mexico games. He's somebody who has impressed me. And I know that he's impressed my brother and Chris as we chatted, because he wasn't really somebody that I guess we had, like, super high expectations for. I thought he would come in. I thought he would blend in. I thought he'd be okay. And you were just kind of hoping, like, you know, he'll be somebody who can at least, you know, be an end game sub for us and close stuff out. I think he's well exceeded those expectations and is definitely somebody who you're like, yeah, we can go to figure this out. Austin Trusty, we need a center back, and Mark McKenzie, why not give them a shot? We're going to be playing against a Jamaica side who is very aggressive and very fast up front and has proven really dangerous, and we've struggled against that kind of stuff. Why not take a chance and go, you know, either one of you play against Ream and then you sub the other one in, or you try both and, like, give Ream a break. But we're going to need to start seeing what we can do defensively to fill in those center back positions, because that's the spaces that we've really started fading on. And as far as all of that stuff goes, like, the only way that we're going to figure it out is if we start testing out some of these new younger guys. So those are my 2 cents. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for tuning into this video. Again, if you like this kind of stuff, and you think that, hey, I want to listen to this guy ramble on more about U.S. soccer, he's a passionate fan like me, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment. I do my best to engage with the various comments, even if it's people hating on me. You know, you can go back and look at some of the other videos. I'm doing a better job trying to get in there. Anyway, glad to be back. Hoping to continue to release videos to you guys, and I will catch you guys on the next one.